Be me, 22, college senior, studying engineering. One of 3 guys in a gender studies elective. Took it for the easy credit. First day professor walks in. She has a shave side, nose ring, and a tote bag that says, "The future is female." She scans the room and her eyes stop on me, not in a good way, syllabus day. She explains the class will center on dismantling patriarchal structures. Guy next to me whispers, "What did we sign up for?" I shrug. At least there is no math. First assignment, write a reflection on male privilege. I spend 3 hours on it. Try to be honest. Acknowledge some things, push back on others, cite actual studies. Submit it feeling okay about it, get it back, a C-. Comment says, "You are centering your own comfort instead of listening. I literally cited bell hooks." Classic. The other 2 guys stop coming to class. I stay. I do not know why. Stubbornness, maybe. Or the fact that I paid for this semester already. There is this girl in the class. Call her Maya. She is sharp, actually reads the material. She argues with the professor sometimes. I like her immediately. One day, professor says men cannot be feminists. They can only be allies. A girl raises her hand and asks why. Professor says because men benefit from the system they claim to oppose. Maya raises her hand. Asks if that logic applies to wealthy women who benefit from class systems. Silence. Professor says that is a different conversation. Maya writes something in her notebook. Weeks go by, I start actually reading the material. Not just skimming it, some of it is genuinely interesting. Some of it reads like it was written by someone who has never talked to a man they did not already hate. I keep that thought to myself. Midterm. Essay question, explain why masculinity is inherently toxic. Not discuss perspectives on toxic masculinity, inherently toxic. Premise baked into the question. I stare at it for 10 minutes. I write the essay, but I frame it differently. I distinguish between toxic behaviors and masculinity itself. I cite the actual research. I note that the term was coined to help men, not condemn them. I feel good about it. Get it back. AD. Comment. You are defending the system. I was literally quoting feminist scholars. Some of them women who invented the concept I was defending. I go to office hours. Professor is polite but unmovable. She says my resistance to the material is itself evidence of my conditioning. I ask how one could ever disagree with the material then. She says genuine engagement means accepting the premise first. I ask if that is inquiry or indoctrination. She tells me to reflect on why I feel the need to be combative. I was not combative. I was just talking. I walk out. Maya is in the hallway. She heard the whole thing. She hands me a coffee, says she does that to everyone who thinks. I ask if she has had the same problem. Maya says the professor told her she had internalized misogyny. Because Maya disagreed that all heterosexual relationships are inherently unequal. Maya is in a happy relationship with a guy she has dated for 3 years. Apparently that is a symptom now. We start studying together. Maya is brilliant. She actually believes in gender equality, like really believes in it, lives it. She calls out her boyfriend when he is being dismissive. She also calls out her friends when they are being unfair to him. She says equality means the same standard for everyone. I had not heard anyone in that class say that yet. She tells me about her mom. Grew up in a country where women could not own property. Moved here, built a business, raised 3 kids. Maya says her mom is her feminist hero. I ask if she has told the professor that. Maya laughs and says her mom does not count. Apparently the professor said immigrant narratives of individual success undermine collective liberation. Maya's mom worked 14-hour days. But sure, she is undermining liberation. Next class, professor brings in a guest speaker, a man, actually. He talks about how he spent years as a chauvinist, how he treated women badly, how he changed. His story is real and clearly painful. I respect him for saying it out loud. But then he says something strange. He says all men have this inside them. That male socialization creates abusers by default. That men need to assume guilt first and earn trust. I raise my hand. Ask if that logic would be acceptable applied to any other group. Room goes cold. Professor looks at me like I tracked mud on her carpet. The speaker pauses. Then he says it is a fair question, actually. Says he sometimes overcorrects because of his own guilt. Says the goal is accountability, not collective condemnation. I thank him. Professor does not look pleased that he agreed with me. After class, a girl named Torai stops me. She has been glaring at me all semester. She says I am exactly the problem. I ask what problem specifically. She says men who think they get to debate their own accountability. I say I am not debating accountability, I am debating collective guilt. She says that is the same thing. I say it is really not. She walks off. Maya watches this happen. Later she says Torai is not wrong to be angry. She has had genuinely bad experiences with men. But Maya says anger at one person becoming a framework for all people is how stereotypes survive. I say I thought that was the whole point of this class. Maya laughs quietly and says no. She says the point is supposed to be understanding. She says somewhere it got replaced with performance. Final project. Present on a topic related to gender equity. I choose the gender gap in workplace deaths. Men account for over 90% of occupational fatalities. It is a real and documented disparity. I connect it to how society treats male disposability. How men are conditioned to sacrifice their bodies without complaint. How this is also a feminist issue because it comes from the same rigid gender roles. I think it is actually a pretty strong angle. Presentation day, I go third, I put up my first slide. Professor interrupts before I even speak. Says this looks like a deliberate attempt to redirect the conversation away from female oppression. I say it is a documented statistic. She says statistics can be used to silence marginalized voices. I say workplace death is not a rhetorical device. The room is quiet. Maya raises her hand, says the topic is legitimate. Says dismissing male suffering does not advance feminism, it just narrows it. Torai raises her hand and says Maya is being manipulated. Maya says she is being reasonable. Torai says that is what manipulation feels like from the inside. Maya looks like she has heard this before. She is tired of it. I finish my presentation, I get a C. Comment says I have potential but need to decenter male perspectives. The irony of being told to decenter my perspective on a slide about men dying is apparently lost on everyone grading this last day of class. Professor gives a closing speech, says she hopes we leave with more empathy, says she hopes the men in the room have grown. She looks at me. I wonder if she means it or if it is theater. Probably both. Walk out with Maya. She says she is switching her major emphasis next semester, away from gender studies, toward policy. Says she wants to actually fix things. Not just talk about fixing things. I ask if she learned anything this semester. She says yes. Says she learned that movements can be right about the problem and wrong about the people. Says the data on inequality is real. The housing gap, the pay structures, the violence statistics, all of it real. But she says the solution cannot be to flip the hierarchy. It has to be to end the hierarchy. I say that sounds almost conservative. She says it sounds like basic logic. She says her mom would agree. I say her mom sounds like the most feminist person in this story. Maya says yes. She says that is the point. We graduate the following spring. Maya goes into public policy. She works on maternal health care legislation. Real stuff, real impact. I tell people I took gender studies. They laugh. I say it was the most complicated class one ever took. Not because the material was hard, because the room could not decide if thinking was allowed. I still believe in equality, not as a performance, not as a competition, just as the actual thing, where the standard is the same for everyone, and no one gets to opt out of being human. Be me. Graduated, still thinking about it. That probably means it worked, even if it did not mean to.